Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Going up, and that's the income that's coming in. But we have to make sure we build your roof, because without that roof, you have your trinkets in, you have your family there, you have your carpet, your glitz, your glats, and your furniture. If there's a storm, you will have disaster. So just like that foundation is so important, that roof is just as equally important. So today, as we build that roof, we will be talking about the roof as your will, putting that will in place, having a power of attorney. And most people may say, well, what is a power of attorney? Well, we have a paralegal coming in today to discuss most of those details with you, but I'll just give you a brief summary. So when you have your will, you need a will. Who needs a will? Everyone needs a will. Nearly 60% of Americans do not have a will. Why is that? Because they don't have the information, the education, the assistance of putting that will in place, knowing that will is going to protect your loved ones. If you have children, you need a will. Small children, you need to have a guardian. You need to put that in writing so that, God forbid, something happened to you. When I had small children, I had a will. I made sure I gave directives as to who will be taking care of my children. Did not leave it up to the court, God forbid something happened to me when my children were small. So yes, it's not about having money. It's not about having a lot of money or assets or trinkets. It's about protecting your family. Because if you have any confusion as to why it's necessary, we're going to make sure we break that down to you today. So let's talk about who needs a will. Again, if you have children, small children, if you have property, you have assets, you have whatever you have, your beautiful shoes, your beautiful bags, you need a will. So I'm so excited today to talk about this topic because we want to make sure your financial house is solid. Building that roof. I want to get help to build the roof. We are not going to do it all alone. So we're bringing in that professional to help us build that roof. You've seen houses being built. It's not a home until it's finalized and you move your family in and put in your favorite furniture, right? So we've seen houses being built. And we've never seen a house final until the roof is there. So today you must understand, my BFF, get your pen and paper out. Make sure you take notes because we have a lot of great information to make sure that roof is solid. That will, who needs it? Everyone needs it. You decide what to do with your stuff. In your will, you're going to decide what to do with your stuff. You're not going to leave it up to someone else to decide who gets your stuff. No. And I tell you, it happens so often, and because of lack of information and education, most people don't put these things in place. But we're going to make sure that your final decision, your last wish, your last testament of what you want for your family is going to be in writing. Because these things are important. And you don't want to leave your loved ones in disarray. You don't want to leave them with having headaches and conflicts because they don't have this will in place. So how do you put a will in place? You can sit down with an attorney, a paralegal. You can get help to do it online. There are different ways to get it done. So things like child care services, again, if you have children, health care directives, you need to have that in your will. Because if you appoint someone to take care of your stuff, the court don't have to worry about who is going to take care of your stuff. You don't want to leave that up to the court, do you? So again, take notes. It provides instructions for you so that you can make sure that you don't have disarray when you're gone. So let's talk about the power of attorney. There are two different aspects of the power of attorney which will be included in your will. You have the health care directives, and what that is that it gives directives to your physician, to your power of attorney, that person in fact that you choose, to make healthcare decisions on your behalf. Because if you have an emergency, if you have an issue where you have a stroke, you're in a coma, you're on a ventilator, you cannot speak for yourself, you can have that advance directive immediately kick in, whereas that person will tell the doctor what your wishes are. Because you may not want life support. You may not want certain medications. You may not want certain people to visit you. You can put that in writing. That's your health care directive. So you're directing someone as to what you want, how you want it, because God forbid something happen. Things do happen. Emergencies, accidents happen. Whether you're on a ventilator for 1 week or 1 month, or you never come off of that, you have someone to speak on your behalf. Now you have your financial power of attorney. That financial power of attorney is going to give directive to the power to be that person you select to make financial decisions for you. Because if you're on that ventilator and you cannot pay your bills, you cannot cash your checks, you can't pay your mortgage, who's going to pay those bills for you? The financial aspects of your well-being, you put that in your power of attorney. That financial power of attorney will make sure that that person that you select is going to be able to take care of your expenses, your bills, your debts while you are on the ventilator if you cannot speak for yourself. So we will continue to talk about this a little bit more when our guests arrive. So your principal is the person that you select to speak on your behalf. That principal is going to make those decisions based on what's written there. You give specific instructions. You don't want this person or that person to handle your finances. You choose one person that you trust. It's all about trust, right? So here we go, my BFF. Let's make sure you're taking notes again, because that power of attorney is key. You may have investments, you may have properties, your assets, your children again. Those things need to be in writing. We know that life is not promised to us. Any day we can just be here today and be gone the next day. So having these things in writing is key. Key to your financial success. So again, your roof is just as important as your foundation. It has to be solid. If you don't have your roof solid, guys, you will have disarray. You will have conflict in your family. You could be best friends with your sister or your brother, and you pass away and there's no will, right? Or you're on a ventilator and they have to make a decision whether to pull the plug or not to pull the plug. Your sister may want to pull the plug and your brother don't. But if you have this in writing, you don't have these issues. They have to make sure that your will, whatever your decision is followed just as you want that to be. So we will take a short break and we will be back with our special guest.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Now in this segment we will be talking with our special guest as we build that roof of your financial home. Our special guest today is Miss Roselane Jean Verginiard, and I know I messed up your last name, but forgive me. So Miss Roselane has 20 years of experience in working with different diverse population as a paralegal. She is one of the best paralegal that you can ever meet. She's so gentle. She has the biggest heart in the entire world. And Miss Roselane today will be breaking down to you a little bit more about that roof, that will, that power of attorney. So welcome, Miss Rose. Can you hear me?
Thank you so much.
Welcome, welcome. Welcome to our show. So today, can you help us to make sure our audience, I'm talking to our audience, my BFFs out there, about putting that will in place, that power of attorney. So if you don't mind giving us a little overview about why you think it's so important to have these things in place.
It is. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. It is so important to have that power of attorney in place. The proxy, you actually explained that very well. We're supposed to really have 3 different documents. The health proxy, a general power of attorney, which you call it a financial power of attorney, which is the general that takes care of everything else, because the health proxy, the healthcare proxy takes care of really directly the medical.
Okay.
For example, let's say that you cannot speak. It's very important to assign that person before you start speaking, before you cannot explain your wish, because it's just a matter also of life and death.
Correct. Correct.
It's a matter of a phone call from the doctor, from the head nurse, to say, can we open that person's heart to basically treat that disease or whatever, or to stop a bleeding, you know? So it's very important. When something is a matter of life and death, I think that's the most important thing after really having God to keep you breathing, because it's a matter of someone that's going to say yes within a second to allow you to breathe,
Okay. So thank you for explaining that, Ms. Roselane. So the healthcare proxy, again, can you just tell all of our guests what the healthcare proxy does? And how does that hold up in a hospital, in a court of law, if you have that healthcare proxy?
That healthcare proxy is so important. Without it, so you cannot even make decisions for your parents.
Okay,
So basically, in the name, in the law, that's going to stop from anybody, inclusive, except that person, to actually talk on your behalf.
okay,
And also, a doctor will not let you die, even if you wish to die.
right,
No?
right,
Because, but if you actually sign something to say, listen, if I am closing my eyes, I am 95 years old, I don't want a machine to actually break my bones because, or try to do anything because I just want to die peacefully. It's
Okay.
important to have a person to say that for you,
okay,
because or that paper will be in your file, or the judge will have it in their possession to understand, yes, before I die, before I couldn't speak for myself, I have someone that at next minute, that person will be the person speaking on my behalf.
awesome, awesome. So you've seen throughout your years of working with individuals, have you seen a case where is that someone is incapacitated? They can no longer speak for themselves. They can no longer make decisions for themselves. And then you see disarray between the family. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh my gosh, it's very serious, especially for parents who have multiple, many children. If you have one child, it's obvious. If you have a husband or you have, any sex, you have the spouse, the wife has a husband or the husband has a wife who is proactive. They can fight it even after when you don't have, you didn't sign that piece of document, which is very important. Because, for example, clearly, if I have and my husband is sick, and then clearly the doctors, the nurses, they were also already there, so clearly it's okay. They're going to open the door for that person to come in, but
Correct.
still it will be difficult. But if there is a form that say, if I cannot speak, please call my wife, clearly that person signed it while they were able to do that, or call my daughter, or call among of 7 children, please call Cynthia, for example, and call my younger daughter, her name is Roselane. Then that's the 2 people among of the 15 or 10 people that they're going to call. They cannot call 10 people. So it's
Correct.
so important. I know you already explained why this document is so important, and I'm really going for the second year in that. It's so important. It's a matter of life and death for you, and it's a matter of keeping the judges, the courts, and those things can take years. Okay, can you imagine you on life support for a year because they have to wait for a judge to hear the case, and then that child wants mom to be alive, and the other one or 2 of them will not want that for the mom, and
Correct.
the person will be laying there, or if mom didn't want that, can you
Correct.
imagine how difficult that is? So
Correct.
it's so important to do that. Very, very important.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for explaining that. I think it was very explicit the way you explain it so that our audience can understand the importance of having that healthcare proxy. So my next question for you, Ms. Roselane, is how does money affect someone who doesn't have this in place? Have you seen in your years, your 20 years of working with individuals and families, have you seen that they have to spend the extra money in order to make sure that these things get finalized when you don't
Yes.
have these documents in place?
Yes, and this is also the second part. Besides your health, it's a matter of death and life, because you will take time instead of taking 1 minute to actually will you inside the operation room because somebody say, okay, please take my mom. Yes, go ahead for the surgery. But the second part, which is a very important part, is the financial part. Okay? So can you imagine you have that person has 7 children, like in my parents' case. So my older daughter, my older sister or brothers might decide something, and then the youngest one don't see it the same way, because it's a big gap of about 8-10 years. So what my sisters might see, older sisters, doesn't mean that I see it the same way as a younger
Correct.
sister.
Exactly.
So that, can you imagine my sister decides something and I decide to take it to court? Can you imagine? It could take from 3 to 7 years to make decisions for
Yes.
your mom.
Yes.
Regarding anything, inclusive like staying at home versus going to a nursing home, for example. And then the attorneys, you will need an attorney. You cannot just, as you know, especially now with COVID, you cannot walk at the door of a court and then, I want to talk to a judge. An
Right.
attorney can do that. So at least 3,500, 3,700 just to have a retainer for an attorney to represent you.
That's-
It's something that could just sign on a piece of paper, hey, okay, children, 7 children, you are 7 of you, so I would like to have Esther make decision for me. And
Okay.
after Esther, once you make the decision, you need to talk to all the 6 person, as long as Roseline, who is the youngest girl, accept it, and then you go for it, and this is what I want.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, compared to $3,700 to have someone to speak for you, and then you have a code, different people to actually be in your business.
Thank
That's
you.
not a good thing.
And thank you so much. We will take a quick break and we will come back and wrap up. Appreciate
Yes.
it.
All right.
Hang in there,
Yeah.
guys.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Back, guys. We are here today with Miss Roseline. She's a paralegal. She's breaking it down to us about having that healthcare proxy, that will, that power of attorney, which is your roof, getting that financial house in order. So important. So, Miss Roseline, I have a question for you. Now, you've explained the healthcare proxy, which is you talk about the medical power of attorney and the financial power of attorney, how important that is in protecting your loved ones. Now let's talk a little bit about the will. Is the will and the power of attorney a combined document that can be done with a paralegal?
Okay, so the difference between, we're talking about 3 different documents here.
Okay,
The healthcare proxy, it's merely for the medical decision.
correct.
It has to do with the hospital, the doctors, the head nurse, physical therapy. So basically what I would recommend is you have that healthcare proxy, you sign it, you file it with every single doctor. If you have 5 doctors, you go to someone who goes to physical therapy, psychological doctors, psychiatric doctors, anywhere you are that has to do with your health. You have to
Correct.
file a copy with that office. So
Awesome.
they could call that healthcare proxy. So the power of attorney has nothing to do with the doctors.
Right.
It's financial power of attorney that gives the person rights to make financial decisions for you and legal decisions.
Right.
So even with the health proxy, so the person who going to go like, okay, we're going to go to court. Once he goes to the court system, the judge will have to make the decision. But And it makes a big difference if that person signed a general power of attorney or a financial power of attorney, which is exactly a legal power of attorney. That piece of paper give that person the right to actually even go to the judge to say, okay, my mom, I am the executor of that power, and then my mom gave you the permission, my parents gave me permission, or that person gave me permission to make legal decisions and financial decisions. So that person can stop even the people fight over the health proxy.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Health proxy is to give
Thank you so
that
much.
specific person. It doesn't have to be the same. It doesn't have to be the same person. So
Okay.
that one of the 7 children could be the middle child.
Okay.
Who is always peaceful, for example, or
Okay.
who is not selfish. The parents, they know that.
So-
Who might decide to make better decisions than any other person, you know? So that mom or dad or that person who is able, before they stop speaking, they decide, you know what, for legal decision, for my everything, will make decision as I would. And I pick that person. And that person doesn't have to be a member of the family.
Correct.
It could be a church, okay? It could be a pastor, it could be an attorney that they trust, or another friend that they trust. So when the children are fighting over who going to keep me alive, about the healthcare proxy, that person can come in and then make sense out of them, because that person has permission to make legal decisions and financial decisions.
Right.
Why, for example, a simple question, why would you make decision to actually go and fight to the court? Because you will have to spend $3,700, so
Wow.
we need to stop it. That person who has that power can actually make sense of the whole situation, including with the health proxy or whoever has the decision, because that person has legal right
Okay.
and financial decision right to stop them from spending $3,700 that the mom or dad left for the grandchildren. Okay? So that's the power of attorney that gives that permission. And for example, when you go to Social Security office, the first thing they go to ask you when that person is in wheelchair, cannot speak.
What about the bank, Miss Roselane? You have to take that to the bank also, right? Because you cannot
Everything.
access one's account without having that power of attorney.
Everything. Yeah, that power of attorney is so powerful. That person can make decision exactly as you would if you were alive.
Correct. And will that power of attorney, can you have a power of attorney kick in immediately or simultaneously whenever necessary?
Yes, yes. Whenever necessary, you can have a temporary one.
Okay.
Let's say for the case, yes, you can have that, but we don't recommend paralegals and attorney. We don't recommend like having multiple power of attorneys.
Okay. You
So it's a lot of times when you have that power of attorney, it's replaced the older one because it goes by date.
okay.
But you can also give a power of attorney that specific reason.
Right.
Okay? So you can do that temporarily, because let's say that you have that general power of attorney for your children. So you want someone to go to Haiti, for example, to sell a home for you, you can assign that person only that right to do that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's important again, as we talk about the children, having that power of attorney to say, this is the person that I want to take care of those children, and avoiding those extra costs of having to go through the court system.
Exactly.
So
That
that's how
person
it's
is-
related to money, correct? Because some people may be wondering, isn't this a money show? We talking about money? The BFFs out there like, wait a minute, hold it. But we are building that financial home. So it's
Yes.
important, as you said, having those things in place. And you mentioned that it could cost over $3,000 of stress, right? And time that you
Yes,
don't
yes.
have.
Yes, and to be short, which since we don't have a lot of time, so I understand that we don't have many time. The will, basically, it's really you actually number 1, 2, 3. This is what I want in life. So it's very important. That's the difference between the living will. The will talks for you after you no longer exist.
Okay, so you're saying the power of attorney dies when you die, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
The will.
And the will continue to
When
speak
die.
for you
The power of
after
attorney
you
make
die.
decision when you cannot speak, or even when you're not present. Even if you could speak, you're not there. That person has the right to make decision for you. the power of attorney. The living will, the will is when you die, that's what you want. And
Okay.
they go number 1 to 15, that's what I want, and they will have to follow it.
Okay, so you're in control even after you die, right? With having that
Exactly.
will, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The will is so important also. It's really more important even after you no longer exist.
Correct. And you can always change a will. You don't have to, once you make a will, you can always update it. Let's say you have another child or you purchase another home or things like that happen where you have different types of money you may have inherited. You can change it at any time. Let's say one of your children is no longer, you know, you like, oh, this child have done something wrong. I don't want to leave any money. You can change it and remove that child. So
That's right.
in conclusion, thank you so much for breaking that down. We'll bring you back again another time. So appreciate you, because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that roof is in place for our financial house, because without that, we can have disaster. Thank you again. Have a great day. And thank you for watching Millennium TV 24 in sponsorship with Roku TV, Amazon TV, Apple TV. And don't forget to download the app on your Android and your iPhone. And you can also catch us on all smart TVs. And also, we're now on YouTube. So tune in next Sunday, same time, same place. This is Money Talks with Cynthia Abbott. Have a beautiful day.